Imagine for a moment a magnificent queen. She rules a vast and prosperous kingdom, a realm she has built with her own intelligence, strength, and courage. By day, she is a picture of power and self-possession. But every night, under the cloak of darkness, she does something strange. She leaves her own beautiful, warm throne. She crosses the borders of her own thriving land, and she goes to sit on the cold stone steps of a neighboring king's castle, waiting, hoping that he might open a window and grant her a moment of his attention. This is the silent paradox of so many modern, powerful women. You are a queen in your career, a queen among your friends, the sovereign ruler of your own busy, competent life. And yet, in the realm of romantic love, you find yourself abdicating your own throne. You unconsciously hand over your power, waiting for a man's validation to confirm the worth of a kingdom you have already built. You have all the external markers of power, but you feel a frustrating powerlessness in the one area of your life that matters most to your heart. But what if I told you that a man is not attracted to the power you demonstrate in the world? What if he is, instead, rendered utterly powerless by the power you hold within yourself? What if the very quality that makes you irresistible has nothing to do with your achievements and everything to do with an unshakable internal state of being that very few women have ever learned to cultivate? This video will reveal that one quality. It is not confidence, though it creates it. It is not success, though it is often a byproduct of it. It is a state of being so profound, so rare, and so complete that it completely rewrites the laws of attraction. We will explore the deep psychology of why a woman who embodies this one quality becomes so magnetic that her presence is an almost gravitational force. This is not a lesson in how to add another achievement to your list. It is a guide to embodying the one inner state that makes a man feel he has found the one woman he can never and will never have power over. So what is this one quality, this profound state of being that holds the power to make a man feel so powerless, yet so deeply drawn to a woman? It is not her beauty, though she may be beautiful. It is not her intelligence, though she is undoubtedly wise. It is not her confidence, though she possesses it in abundance. These are all the effects, not the cause. The one quality is radical self-sufficiency. Now we must immediately dismantle the common and superficial understanding of this term. Radical self-sufficiency is not the cold, defensive wall of the woman who has been hurt and declares, "I don't need anyone." That is not self-sufficiency. That is a trauma response. It is an armor, not a state of being. To understand its true nature, think of the difference between a desert and an oasis. A woman who is merely independent can be like a vast, impressive desert. She is strong, she survives. She has learned to live with very little external nourishment, but a desert is a harsh and barren landscape. It does not invite life in. A woman who embodies radical self-sufficiency is the oasis that blooms in the very center of that desert. She has not just learned to survive, she has learned to thrive. She has dug deep and found her own underground spring. Her life is not barren and self-contained. It is lush, vibrant, and nourishing. And all of this life is generated from her own internal source. This state is built upon her ability to be her own primary source for the three things most people are desperately seeking from the outside world: validation, safety, and joy. First, she is her own source of validation. She has practiced the art of the applause of one. She no longer looks to a man's attention or a man's praise to feel worthy. She has become the loving and unwavering witness of her own life, and she has learned to give herself the acknowledgement she once craved from others. Second, she is her own source of safety. She has learned to regulate her own nervous system. Her peace is not a fragile thing that is dependent on his mood or the status of their relationship. She is her own safe harbor. Her inner world is the calm, unshakable ground to which she is always anchored, regardless of the storms that may rage on the outside. Third, she is her own source of joy. She has relentlessly cultivated her own sacred garden. Her life is already full of passion, of purpose, of deep and nourishing connections to friends, to nature, to her own creativity. Her happiness is not a bonus that a man can bestow upon her. It is the very atmosphere of the kingdom she already inhabits. A woman who embodies this is not a desert he must try to bring water to. She is an oasis, he discovers, with a sense of profound awe and relief. He is in the presence of a woman who does not need anything from him, and it is in this radical truth that his own journey begins. The journey of discovering that his desire for her is born not from what he can give her, but from how her own fullness makes him feel. Now that we have defined this rare quality of radical self-sufficiency, we must explore the deep psychology of why it is so devastatingly magnetic. Why does a woman who needs nothing from a man often become the one he desires most? The answer lies in the creation of a profound and compelling psychological vacuum. From a very young age, a man is conditioned to play a specific role in his relationships with women. He is taught to be the provider, the fixer, the rescuer. His sense of value, his very identity as a masculine being, is often deeply intertwined with his ability to solve a woman's problems and to be the source of her happiness, her safety, and her validation. Think of his ego as a master locksmith. He carries a large ring of keys, each one designed to open a specific lock of feminine need. He has a key for her insecurity, a key for her loneliness, a key for her financial worries. When he meets a woman, his unconscious mind is immediately searching for the lock that his key will fit. Unlocking her need gives him a sense of purpose and a feeling of power. But the radically self-sufficient woman is a house with no locks. She is already open. She is not a puzzle to be solved. She is a sovereign kingdom to be entered. When a man encounters this woman, his entire strategy for relating becomes obsolete. He reaches for his ring of keys, but there are no keyholes. He cannot use his validation to unlock her worth because she is already the source of her own. He cannot use his solutions to fix her problems because she is the capable architect of her own life. He cannot use his presence to soothe her loneliness because she finds profound companionship in her own soul. His keys are useless. The locksmith is, for the first time, without a job. This creates a powerful psychological vacuum. The space that his ego, his role as the fixer, used to occupy is now a vast and compelling emptiness. This can be disorienting for him, but it is also deeply and addictively intriguing. He is now faced with a woman he cannot control with his usual tools. He cannot win her by solving her problems. He cannot make her dependent on his validation. The only way for him to connect with this woman is not as a locksmith to a lock, but as an equal, as a sovereign to a sovereign. He must put his keys away and show up with the one thing he may have been hiding, his authentic self. This vacuum forces a new and profound question into his mind. The question is no longer, what can I do to fix her and make her need me? The question becomes, who must I be to be worthy of being chosen by a woman who needs nothing? This is why he becomes powerless. He is powerless to control her with his old transactional tools of influence. He is powerless to make her need him. His only path to her heart is through authenticity, through respect, and through a genuine desire to be a part of the beautiful, whole, and self-sustaining world she has already created for herself. He does not desire her because she is a project he can complete, but because she is a masterpiece he is in awe of. At this point you may be thinking to yourself, but I am independent. I have my own life, my own career, my own home. This is the great and subtle illusion. Many modern women consciously believe they are self-sufficient, yet they are unconsciously hemorrhaging their power through a series of subtle leaks of neediness. Think of a beautiful, powerful ship that claims to be unsinkable. From the deck, it looks magnificent and strong, but below the waterline there are 100 tiny, invisible leaks. With each small leak, a little more water seeps in, a little more of its buoyancy is lost. Over time, the ship becomes heavy, sluggish, and vulnerable. These subtle leaks are the small, often unconscious ways that you continue to signal to a man that your emotional state is dependent on him. They are the cracks in the facade of your independence. Let us name some of the most common leaks. The first is the checking in text. This is the text message that is disguised as a casual, friendly gesture, but is in reality a bid for reassurance. It is the just thinking of you, or the meme sent with the unspoken question, are you still thinking of me too? Do I still exist in your world? It is an attempt to create a spark of connection from a place of anxiety, not from a place of genuine overflow sharing. The second leak is the leading question. This is a question whose purpose is not to gather information, but to elicit a specific, validating compliment. Questions like, "So did you have a good time last night?" are often not a real inquiry. They are a search for the answer, "Yes, it was the best time because you were there." You are not asking a question. You are fishing for a piece of validation that you cannot give yourself. The third leak is performative storytelling. This is when you share an accomplishment or a story not from a place of simple, joyful sharing, but with an underlying agenda of trying to impress him. You are subtly monitoring his reaction, hoping he will be amazed by your success or charmed by your wit. Your story is not a gift. It is an audition. The fourth is the instant reply. This is the pattern of always being immediately available to respond to his texts or calls. While it may seem like good manners, a consistent pattern of instant replies sends a powerful unconscious message. You are my top priority. Whatever I am doing in my own life is less important than connecting with you. It signals that your sacred garden is not, in fact, your primary focus. The fifth and most powerful leak is the unspoken disappointment. This is the subtle but palpable shift in your energy when he does not give you the response your ego was hoping for. It is the slight coldness in your tone, the quiet sigh, the gentle withdrawal of your warmth. This is the ultimate tell. It proves that your inner peace is conditional on his behavior. You have made him the keeper of your happiness, and your disappointment is the sign that he has failed in his job. Each of these leaks, on its own, is small, but together, they create a constant, low-grade broadcast of neediness. They are the cracks through which your sovereign power seeps out. The path to radical self-sufficiency is the work of sealing these leaks, not by creating a new performance of unavailability, but by doing the deep inner work that makes you genuinely whole. To understand the subtle leaks of neediness is to see the cracks in your own foundation. The sovereign work, the path to radical self-sufficiency, is the daily, conscious, and often courageous practice of sealing those cracks from the inside out. This is not about learning a new performance of independence. It is about the profound and life-altering practice of becoming your own source. This is the alchemy that transforms you from the oasis that a man visits into the very spring from which that oasis is fed. This practice is built on three foundational pillars: self-sourcing your joy, self-validating your worth, and self-soothing your own pain. First, the practice of self-sourcing joy. A woman with subtle leaks of neediness is a passive consumer of joy. She waits for the weekend, she waits for him to make a plan, she waits for an external event to make her feel happy. The sovereign woman is an active creator of her own joy. She is the CEO of her own fulfillment. This practice requires you to actively and intentionally schedule and pursue activities that nourish your soul for your own sake. Look at your calendar for the coming week. Where have you carved out non-negotiable time for the things that light you up, completely independent of a partner? It could be a dance class, a weekly hike in nature, a commitment to your art, a solo trip to a museum, or even something as simple as the sacred ritual of savoring a cup of tea in the morning sun without the distraction of your phone. The point is not to be busy to impress him. The point is to build a life so rich with your own self-generated joy that his presence becomes a beautiful addition, not the main event. You are no longer waiting for him to bring you flowers. You are busy planting your own magnificent garden. Second, the practice of self-validation. The woman with subtle leaks is a validation seeker. She shares her accomplishments hoping for praise. She makes a clever joke and watches his face to see if he laughs. Her sense of worth is a fragile thing, held in the hands of others. The sovereign woman practices the art of the applause of one. This is a daily practice of becoming the primary witness and validator of your own life. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect. Identify one small thing you did that day that was in alignment with your own integrity. Perhaps you held a boundary. Perhaps you were kind to a stranger. Perhaps you were brave enough to take one small imperfect step toward a goal. Then you must consciously give yourself the acknowledgement you seek. Place a hand on your heart and say, silently or aloud, "I see that. That was a moment of strength. I am proud of you." You are in this moment building an internal validation muscle. You are teaching your nervous system that the most important applause in the world comes from the audience that lives within your own soul. Third, and most crucially, the practice of self-soothing. The deepest leak of neediness comes from our inability to be with our own uncomfortable feelings. When anxiety, loneliness, or insecurity arise, the conditioned impulse is to immediately reach outward, to a man, to a friend, to a distraction, to make the feeling go away. The sovereign woman learns to turn inward first. This is the practice of radical self-attendance. When you feel a wave of anxiety, you do not immediately text him. You pause. You place a hand on your body and you ask that anxious part of you, your own inner child, a simple question. What do you need from me right now to feel safe? Listen to the answer. Perhaps she needs you to take 3 deep breaths. Perhaps she needs you to go for a walk and feel the ground beneath your feet. Perhaps she needs you to wrap yourself in a blanket and listen to a calming piece of music. The act of turning inward to care for your own emotional state is the ultimate act of self-sufficiency. You are becoming your own safe harbor, and a woman who is her own safe harbor is the most secure and therefore the most magnetic presence a man can ever encounter. When a woman consistently practices the art of becoming her own source, when she seals the subtle leaks of neediness and truly embodies radical self-sufficiency, the effect on a man is not just magnetic, it is transformative. It fundamentally changes his role in the dynamic. He is no longer the locksmith, the provider, or the fixer. His job has been made obsolete, and in the space of that old retired role, something new and far more powerful is born. A man's healthy masculine instinct is to provide for and protect the feminine. This is a noble drive. Think of him as a gardener who finds a beautiful but delicate plant. He feels a sense of purpose and value in tending to it, in providing the water of his validation, the sunlight of his attention, the soil of his security. But the radically self-sufficient woman is not a delicate plant waiting for a gardener. She is a hidden waterfall in a deep, secret forest. She is a self-sustaining ecosystem, drawing her nourishment from her own deep, underground springs. She is already complete, already magnificent, already a force of nature in her own right. When the traveler, the man, stumbles upon this hidden waterfall, his entire being shifts. He does not look at it and think, "How can I fix this?" or "What can I provide for it?" To do so would be absurd. His role is not to be its gardener. His role is to stand in silent, reverent awe. He is humbled by its power. He is nourished by its beauty. He is captivated by its self-sustaining life force. His desire shifts from one of usefulness to one of reverence. He is no longer the provider. He has become the worshipper at the altar of her wholeness. This is the psychological mechanism that makes him powerless against her. He is powerless because his old currency, the currency of validation, of solutions, of being the answer to her needs, is worthless in her kingdom. He cannot buy her affection with a compliment because she already validates herself. He cannot control her mood with his attention because she is already the source of her own joy. He cannot make her need him because she needs nothing from him. All of his old tools of influence are rendered useless. And in this powerlessness, he is faced with a profound choice. He can either retreat, his ego bruised because he has no role to play, or he can rise to the occasion and meet her on a completely new level. A man of substance, a man who is ready for a true equal, will be irresistibly drawn to this challenge. He realizes that the only way to gain entry into her beautiful, self-sustaining world is with a new and more authentic currency, the currency of his own sovereign presence, his genuine admiration, and his own whole self. He must approach her not as a locksmith to a lock, but as a king to a queen. This is the ultimate power reversal. He is not powerless in a weak sense, he is powerless to manipulate or control her. And this forces him to become the best version of himself, to be worthy of her presence. This is not just attraction, it is inspiration. And a man will be eternally devoted to the woman who inspires his own soul to greatness. We began this journey with the image of a powerful queen, sitting on the cold steps of another's castle, waiting for his approval. We sought to understand the one quality that could call her back to her own throne, the one quality that makes a woman so magnetic that a man feels an almost involuntary pull into her orbit. And we have discovered that this quality is radical self-sufficiency. It is the state of a woman who has become her own source of validation, her own sanctuary of peace, and her own creator of joy. It is the quiet, unshakable power of the oasis that is fed by its own hidden spring. And this leads us to the ultimate paradox of desire, the final and most liberating truth of all. To be the woman a man feels he cannot live without, you must first become the woman who knows in her very bones that she can live perfectly and happily without him. His feeling of being powerless against you is not the goal, it is simply the consequence. It is the natural response of a man who has come face to face with a woman who cannot be controlled by the old currencies of validation and approval. The real prize is not his powerlessness. The prize is your own profound and unshakable freedom. The journey is to stop being the queen on another's castle steps. It is to return to your own kingdom, to sit upon your own throne, and to become so engrossed in the beautiful, prosperous, and vibrant life of your own realm that the approval of a neighboring king becomes a welcome diplomatic gesture, not a desperate necessity for your survival. You do not need his kingdom to be a queen, you already are one.